I hope you can hear me. I'm going to start sharing my slides. Can you see the slides?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, a very good morning to all of you. I see that there are more than 60 people assembled here. I believe most of you are from the Punjabi background. I'm going to give my lecture in English, and I hope we will have a fruitful journey for the next 1 hour and 15 minutes. I take this opportunity to thank NTS for inviting me to interact with you. The title of my talk is very short. It's one of the most
I'm sorry, ma'am, आपका slide
interesting.
it is not visible.
It's not visible.
Yeah,
but
no,
it
no,
says
it's
I'm presenting.
yeah, no, it is visible, ma'am. But
I did not do anything. It's the same. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. But you can slide your whole screen, then we are able to see it clearly.
No, is this full screen now?
No, ma'am.
It is.
Your entire screen. You just click on your entire screen. Stop this and click on your entire screen.
That's what I did. Can you see it now?
No, ma'am. Sorry.
Are you able to see the slides?
No, ma'am.
Why? Because it shows I am presenting.
Ma'am, you try again once more. Then I think it is visible.
You want me to?
Your entire screen.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, madam.
Yes, ma'am. No, it is.
Madam, after that, please press F5.
Is it visible now?
Yes, madam. It's visible, but it is not in full screen.
In
Please
my
press
screen,
F5
it
button.
shows full screen.
Ma'am, please change your slide 2. Then.
Slide 2.
Yeah, slide view. Yes, ma'am. In slide view, you just. Okay, ma'am. It is. In slide view, you just present.
Madam, actually, in that bottom there is a full screen option. Is
Yeah,
there,
I did
madam,
that.
you can click.
And I have done so many times. I'm not new to Google Meet, but I'm not sure what is happening on your side. Now, what do you see?
Okay, madam.
No, is it full screen or not yet full screen?
Not yet, madam.
How about now?
No, madam.
What is the problem? I don't understand. Because on my screen, it shows full screen.
Ma'am, please reopen your PowerPoint.
I did that. Let me see now, because I can see what you're seeing. I tried to do something here. Now? You still have the same problem?
Yes, madam.
You're not able to see full screen, no?
But we can see, but not in full screen, madam.
But that is what I'm surprised, because I am seeing here.
Madam, that is Mac operating system, madam.
It's Mac.
Apple. Yes, madam. So there is an option is there in the bottom there's notes, comments. After that, there is a one like a computer. There is one small symbol.
Yes, that's what
please
that's what
click
I
that,
did.
madam.
I did that.
Else you
When I
make
do
it
that,
100%, madam. There is on.
Can you see the screen now? From my side, it shows full screen.
Okay. Madam, that
What should I do?
percentage is there, you know, or else you can do one thing, madam. That percentage is there, you know. In that minus to plus 67% is there, you know, madam. You just make it 100%. Press escape button, madam. No.
It's 100 now.
Okay, madam. That. Yes, madam. But it's not coming in full screen, but it's readable, madam. You can start presenting by clicking that next slide in next slide. It's readable, madam, to everyone.
I do not understand because I have done it many times and never happened like this.
Okay. But everything is visible and readable, madam. No problem.
Okay. Can you see? Are you able to see the first screen now for language learning strategies?
Yes, madam. Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry that you're having some issues there, but from my side, it is showing full screen. I'm not able to understand that. Anyway, all right. Sorry for this initial glitches. I was trying to put strategies, but now you understand strategies are not simple to teach or learn. From the other side, many of me some techniques how to make this screen full screen or visible 100% to all of you. So many of us have different, see there is a difference between strategy and style. I would like you to know the difference between the terminology. Since our focus is on learning strategies, that too, especially language learning strategies, I would like to introduce this concept to you. More than 40 years have passed since the two pioneers in the field, Stern and Rubin, both of them in 1975, first talked about language learning strategies. The acronym is very popular. LLS is the acronym and it is very popular. But even so many years, several decades, still there is no clear consensus regarding the definition of this term. After 10 years, people started looking into it critically, and still, even now, even though Griffiths gave his quote notoriously difficult to define in 2003, even in 2021, it is still difficult to define. What are language learning strategies anyway? Let us look into one of the pioneers' definition, Rubin's definition. She defines learning strategies as the techniques or devices which a learner may use to acquire knowledge. What are the different techniques, methods, or tools you use in order to gain some knowledge of, for example, Punjabi in this particular situation? But controversial debates began, and many of them, including Donay and Shekin in 2003, recommended abandoning the term strategy and favored another term which is more versatile. The term is self-regulation, which was supported by Rose in 2012, who defines the following. Learning strategies are movements towards self-regulation. These are not incompatible with language learning strategies. That means they are interchangeably usable and they are okay, they are compatible with LLS. However, Donay and Ryan in 2015 claimed that neither self-regulation nor learning strategy has to become a causality of the controversy, caught in the crossfire of the various arguments. So there have been different ideas and definitions put forward. I would like to draw your attention to some of the definitions by several authors so that you try to understand what are these LLS are we use in our lives when we learn a language, or what are the things we can learn from today's talk. I have presented here only certain definitions by a few scholars. For example, Stern in 1983 says LLS are particular for observable learning behavior, more or less consciously employed by the learner. Maybe when you are learning a new, maybe you underline something, or maybe you highlight. There are different behaviors what people have. That's what Stern was suggesting. Weinstein and Mayer in 1986 defined LLS not just behaviors, but they are also thoughts that a learner engages in during learning that are intended to influence the learner's encoding process. Vendon in 1987 suggested that LLS are language learning behaviors learners actually engage in to learn and regulate a second language. What they know about the strategies they use, what they know about aspects of their language learning other than the strategies they use. In all these definitions, like the first three and even the fourth one by Rubin and Rubin, talk about the behaviors and thought processes that learners use in the process of learning. This can include any sets of operations, steps, and routines used by the learner to facilitate the obtaining, storage, retrieval, and use of information. In all these four definitions, you can see that they share some phrases. For example, behaviors and thought processes. This is what was important till the late 80s. What are the different behaviors the learners use? What are the different steps or plans they have? How do they techniques when they want to learn a new language? Rebecca Oxford in defines LLS as follows. Operations employed by the learner to aid the acquisition, storage, retrieval, and use of information. She goes on. Specific actions taken by the learners to make learning easier, faster, more enjoyable, more self-directed, more effective, and more transferable to new situations. This definition is very, very popular, and it was Oxford's work that influenced second language learning, especially in the field of ESL and EFL, English as second language learning and English as foreign language learning. But afterwards, of course, it was employed by other learners as well, because the strategies what she put forward have been the fundamental strategies that can be used by learners and also the teachers when they want to make their learning effective, how you can teach the students to adopt new strategies. Cammott also talked about thoughts and behavior, the special thoughts and behaviors that individuals use to help them comprehend, learn, or retain new information. There are many more definitions, like you have again by Cammott, that's the same thing what was in the previous page. Ellis talks about LLS as particular approaches or techniques that learners employ to try to learn. These techniques can be either behavioral or mental. When we say behavioral, sometimes when you learn a new word, maybe you repeat it 3 times, 4 times to help you remember them. Or it can be purely mental, for example, using the linguistic or situational context to inform the meaning of a new word. We will see all these things in the next few slides. Cohen, on the other hand, defines LLS as learning processes which are consciously selected by the learners and which may result in action taken to enhance the learning of a second or foreign language through the storage, retention, recall, and application of information about that language. So that means what? Each one of us, even though if there are hundreds of learning strategies available, when it comes to language learning, maybe you may select a few strategies which may not be of interest to me. That is what says selected by the learner, because it depends on your needs and also the way you look at it, how you want to learn a language. That's the same thing which is reflected by CAMOD. LLS are conscious thoughts and actions that learners take in order to achieve a learning goal. These are some of the definitions. Like I told earlier in the beginning, strategies are different from style and they're different from skills. Please do not get confused with the terminology because they are very different from style. Like the simplest example I can give you is take anything, costumes, for example, the Punjabi dress, even what I'm wearing now, though we say this is Punjabi dress, but I have my own style of putting the dupatta, whereas somebody else will have a different style. That is style. But when it comes to strategy, that's not style. Style is just a preference. Strategies are something what learners do. What I do, strategies are active. These are what learners do. That is very, very important to note. And also, strategies are chosen. We have a list of strategies or methods or techniques in front of you, and you choose a strategy. These are these are actions which are dictated by others. For example, when you say like different facts, sometimes your teacher may say underline these difficult words. But when they are dictated by others, those are not strategic. That is just a technique, okay? They are not strategic. And also actions which are chosen at random for no particular purpose, they also cannot be considered strategies. In other words, strategies are goal-oriented. To have a goal, in the case of learning a language itself is, so the strategies are goal-oriented. You want to learn a language. Just because someone tells you to underline something and you have underlined doesn't mean you have learned something. So since your goal is to learn a language, you are going to choose your strategies and see how best you can learn a language. That's again and again we are saying it's the goal that is important. It is the goal which distinguishes strategies from skills. There are different strategies. You can have a planning strategy. I'm taking these points from Stern 1975 and 1983. Many of the eminent scholars in this field have classified language learning strategies. What are these? Planning strategy is one which has a personal learning style or positive learning strategies. You can observe that here Stern mixes both style and strategies when it comes to planning. Strategy, an active approach. You know what is being meant by active, because you are active and you have a goal and you are actively working towards that goal in order to learn a particular task. Maybe you want to improve your speaking skills in Punjabi, and then your goal is being active and trying to practice it with different people, or what are the other strategies you employ in order to become active and acquire the pronunciation or the speaking skills. Emphatic strategy. This is a tolerant and outgoing approach to the target language and empathic speakers. Because suppose you're a new learner and you have an outgoing approach, because you have to always have an outgoing approach and tolerance towards the other language, whatever you're learning, empathy with the speakers. In other words, if you respect a language and its speakers and have empathy, you will be able to learn the language efficiently. Experimental strategy. This is methodical but flexible. because developing the new language into your system and revising the system progressively. In classroom teaching or learning, experimental strategy is used because they introduce you basic vocabulary, and then slowly, like maybe when they are teaching you writing the script first, and then the monosyllabic words, the disyllabic words, and they have a pattern. They have an ordered system, how a teacher would like you to teach, or as a learner, how you are also acquiring this knowledge. And then you progress systematically. Formal strategy, technical know-how about how to tackle a language. This is very important because you should know how to use the language in a particular situation. Then you have semantic strategy. This is something it's very, very important because you're constantly searching for meaning. Because suppose you know Hindi and you think, okay, Punjabi is an Indo-Aryan language, there should be something in common, and maybe, but you're still sure that there are words which are different, and each time you want to search for a new word and you wanted to see like what is the meaning. You come across a new Punjabi word in the market, and you come back home with advanced technology. You can use any search engine, Google or any other engine which you are familiar with, and look for the meaning. Or you will use Google Translate and try to look for the meaning of the word. Practice. This is very important. Willingness to practice, because it's very, very important. Without practice, nothing comes. I would like to cite a proverb from my own language. Chittiramum kaipalakam. That means even drawing is just by hand. So the more you practice, the better you become at a particular art. The same thing, it can be applied to language learning. The more you practice and the more the willing practice, you have to be, it has to come voluntarily. You should be willing to practice. Only then, the more you practice, the better you become at it, whether it is learning or speaking or listening or writing. Communication, that's very important. It's important to use the language in real life communication, maybe at the marketplace, maybe with your peer group or with Punjabi friends. So that's why we say like earn more languages and earn more friends. Monitoring strategy, self-monitoring and critical sensitivity to language use, because it's very important. Self-monitoring is important. If you self-monitor, then you will see, okay, I can be better at it. Maybe I have made a mistake, or maybe I can use a different word, choice of vocabulary, or maybe I used a wrong word in a wrong context. Maybe it's a taboo in that particular culture. So these things comes only when you do self-monitoring. Internalization strategy. Here you have the target language more and more as a separate reference system and learning to think in it, because only when you start thinking in that particular language, you'll be able to express properly. And then other strategies can come to your rescue and you can improve. There are others like Gamot who divide the strategies into three kinds: metacognitive, cognitive, social and affective strategies. So Oxford strategies are the ones which I follow in some theses I have guided so far. We have done 3 theses on language learning. So 3 students of mine have followed Oxford 1990 and modified the strategies to suit the needs of language learning in India. So this is the most comprehensive classification followed by many in the world. Rebecca Oxford is the name. She classifies strategies into 2 types: direct strategies and indirect strategies. That is the broad classification. And under direct strategies, she has memory strategies, cognitive strategies, and compensation strategies. As the name implies, memory strategies, these are creating mental linkages such as grouping, imagery, rhyming, etc. Because this is memory strategies is something which we have been using right from childhood. We always have mental linkages. and you group them. Like, for example, when you talk about animals or something and you have some semantic domains, you use your imagery skills and you group them. And also rhyming technology is there right from childhood, like when we talk about cat, bat, mat, sat, rat. So we have these rhyming strategies. Cognitive strategies. These are practicing such as reasoning. You want to ask why. Why is certain thing like this? Analyzing something, summarizing something, and general practicing. Compensation strategies. This is to compensate for limited knowledge. Most of the times we use guessing. We try to guess intelligently because suppose there are 5 words and you understand 3 words, then you will be able to guess the meaning of the other 2 words from the context in reading and listening. And sometimes you use synonyms and gestures to convey meaning because you may not know a particular word. Since you're a new learner, then you will use a synonym and try, or gestures and sign language to convey the meaning. Then you do not know the expression. So this is compensation strategies is something we always use. Indirect strategies. These are divided into 3: metacognitive, affective, social. Under metacognitive strategies, we have centering. I use the spelling, American spelling for centering because it's by Oxford. It's not given by me. Arranging, evaluating learning, such as paying attention. Consciously searching for practice opportunities because this is metacognitive. You want to look for a practice opportunity. Suppose you are in Patiala or maybe in some other place where you have a larger community of Punjabi speakers, then you want to try practice your Punjabi. Or planning for language tasks. You plan, you also self-evaluate one's progress, your own progress, and you monitor errors. It's important to keep a diary and write down your errors, and next time you use a language somewhere else, you come back and check and see whether that error is still coming or whether you have improved. Affective strategies relating to emotion and motivation. This is very important because anxiety. This happens to many of us when we use a language because sometimes we are afraid others will laugh at us. So that's why these emotional and motivational problems are there. That's why people are very anxious and they're not comfortable. So it's important to reduce that, and you should be encouraged. Self-encouragement is important, and self-reward. The moment you realize that you have successfully communicated with someone in Punjabi, say for 2 minutes without any problems, then you reward yourself. Social strategies. It's very, very important. Interaction with others, because you ask questions, this particular word, or can I use this word in place of another? Cooperating with native speakers of the language, and most important, being culturally aware. If you understand the culture, then you will know what are the culture specific things you need to take care. There are culture specific vocabulary and also taboos. What is acceptable for you in your society as a non-Punjabi may not be acceptable for the Punjabi society. So you have to be aware of that. There are several models of Oxford model, Cohen's model, because Cohen has again mixed styles and strategy-based instruction. Then also the Kala model, which became popular. Next to Oxford 1990, the Kala model became very famous. Cognitive academic language learning approach. Then many other approaches came. Different people like Grenfell and Harris and Mercado. I would like to, since we do not have much time to go into all the details, I wanted to take some strategies from SILL, that is the one developed by Oxford, the language learning strategies, the inventor of language learning strategies, and look into some of the strategies, see whether as a learner of Punjabi, a teacher, you may be a teacher of Punjabi, but you may teach Punjabi to a second language learner or a third language learner, and maybe you want them to look into this. So either way, either you're a learner or a teacher, the memory strategies. For example, you want to ask them, like, these are some of the strategies, whether they do it or not, whether they use these strategies or not. If they don't use, how are you going to instruct them to use these strategies? That is also important. For example, I think of relationships between what I already know and new things I learn in Punjabi. That's one memory strategy, asking them to think. I use new Punjabi words in a sentence so that I can remember them. I connect the sound of a new Punjabi word and an image or a picture of the word to help me remember the word. This is, most of the times we do it. A new word will be there and you try to imagine the picture, try to remember the word. Or you, on your own, remember a new Punjabi word by making a mental picture of a situation in which the word might be used. And fifth one, of course, you review Punjabi lessons often. I remember new Punjabi words or phrases by remembering their location on the page, on the board, or on a street sign. See, sometimes you come across a new word on just a street sign or on a billboard or something, or on a notice stuck on a wall, on a street. Then you try to remember, okay, this is the word I saw and this is the new word. And maybe you don't know the meaning, then you come back and look into the meaning that will be using a semantic strategy. Cognitive strategies. I say I write new Punjabi words several times. This is something, repetition is one of the skills. I practice the sounds of Punjab. How do you practice that? Also, each one will have their own strategy and styles. I use the Punjabi words I know in different words, using it in context and. Now, this is I put this number 10 in red because very, very rare a second language learner, if they want to, if they have anything to write, they will start in Punjabi. Because this is something very important. I would like, when in the interaction section, you can tell me, as a learner of Punjabi, do you start writing when you want to, in Punjabi, when you want to write something? Then also, there are other people who develop their cognitive skills by watching Punjabi language TV shows spoken in Punjabi, or go to the movies spoken in Punjabi. Or then sometimes people read texts for pleasure in Punjabi. And one of the most important ones is read as much as possible in Punjabi. Write notes, messages, letters, or reports in Punjabi. Another interesting skill. Some of them do this. I first skim read a Punjabi passage. First, you just read it very fast, then go back and read them carefully to understand each and everything. Cognitive strategies are more. That's why we are having more strategies here. I look for words in my own language that are similar to new words in Punjabi. Suppose you are a speaker of Hindi, then you will see whether are there similarities. I find the meaning of a Punjabi word by dividing it into parts that I understand. If suppose you come across a word or a long word, then you try to do this. And I try not to translate word for word because you know very well word for word translate. Yeah. Hello.
मैम आपकी जो है स्लाइड एक ही दिखाई दे रही है, शुरू से चेंज नहीं हो रही है वो.
हेलो.
फर्स्ट स्लाइड मैडम, फर्स्ट स्लाइड अभी तक दिखाई दे रही है.
You did not see any slide?
यस मैम, सिर्फ फर्स्ट जब आपके ओपनिंग की है, जब शुरुआत की, जब आपने उसी समय की वो स्लाइड दे रही है.
Oh my God, I showed so many. I do not understand why, but okay, I'm going to try it again. Why is it not moving? You did not stop me in between. You should have stopped earlier. I changed the style. It's only the first slide. But here it did not have that problem. What?
Yes, madam. Now it is in 15th slide. 15th slide, madam.
Oh my God! So much we lost 15 slides.
Ma'am, it's better you share your slides here. We will
Yeah, but
share our screen.
they are saying now it is visible, right? So now you saw this first slide. Can you see the second?
Now it is in second slide, madam.
Second slide, right? Okay,
Yes, yes,
I
madam.
will take 5 minutes to summarize the 15 slides, otherwise people will be lost. Okay, so I was talking about
Okay, madam.
language
Thank you,
learning
thank you.
strategies, and then I was telling that 40 years have passed. Like I started about what is LLS, and though there are definitions of LLS, even today there is no agreement regarding the definition, and I started defining LLS according to different scholars. I was talking about different definitions. I will share the slides with you. So I think that is something I can do it even right away, because I should have done that right away, because if I can do it, I will try to share it to you. Okay, let me finish this and then I'll share it to you. So, so the definitions were there. We were talking about definitions in the sense of behaviors and thoughts. What are strategies? Basically, these are behaviors or thoughts and engages during the learning of a language. I put forward several definitions, and then I gave the difference between strategies versus style and skills. I already said that strategies are active. These are what learners do. These are different from style, because styles are nothing but preferences. The learners prefer planning. Strategies are chosen because these cannot be dictated by others. I cannot tell you what strategy you should be using. I can give you different options of strategies and tell you there are 10 strategies, and now you should choose like on your own what suits your learning purpose, because that is why we are saying that strategies are goal oriented. It is the goal that is important and which distinguishes that from different other skills like style. And we talked about strategies. I just said some of the strategies of Stern, and then I went for, after Stern, I went to Oak, Emily, and Kemmotz. They talked about metacognitive, cognitive, and social strategies. Came to the main person whom I follow in my own work in guiding different students for PhDs on language learning. We have used Rebecca Oxford's work, which is the most comprehensive classification used by many. Rebecca has divided strategies direct. I was talking about memory, cognitive, compensation, these and then under indirect, metacognitive, affective, and social. We also saw that the people classified LLS into various ways, and people also came out with different models. Oxford's model, Cohen's model, Kemmotz's model, and so on and so forth. Among these, Oxford 1990 and the Kemmotz's 1999, the are very popular. Of course, now new things are coming up, the self-regulation strategies. We will see that in a bit. Then we also wanted to look at the questionnaire developed by Oxford for the language learning inventory. These are the strategies. And that I was trying to show you about the, what you call, example questionnaire, because that is what the most important is the memory strategies. When we talk about memory strategies, there are 6 strategies. How we learn Punjabi. For example, a student can I think of relationships between what I already know and new things I learn in Punjabi. Or I use new Punjabi words in a sentence so that I can remember them. Because each I try to put it in a sentence so that I can remember them. So these are all memory. When you talk about memory, we are talking about remembering, and how you can remember a particular word or a particular phrase or a particular sentence. Or even sounds, because when you hear a new sound, you connect the sound of the new Punjabi word on an image or picture of the word. We remember the word. I think, can someone tell me what is the difference between Punjabi and other Indo-Aryan languages with regard to its sound system? Just one word answer. What is very unique about Punjabi? Because because I
हाँ जी मैम, नमस्कार जी।
yes.
हाँ जी मैम, पंजाबी में जो है ना वो उच्चारण का थोड़ा फर्क रहता है। जैसे पंजाबी में एक भाजी शब्द है पा, तो वो प और भ के बीच का साउंड है।
You are talking about voiced, voiceless, but what is distinct, what is very unique about Punjabi versus, for example?
मैम वही बता रहा हूँ मैं कि जो साउंड का है ना, जो उच्चारण का है, जो एक्सेंट का है पंजाबी का, वो जैसे हिंदी में है क और घ, तो इन दोनों के बीच का साउंड जो आता है वो पंजाबी में आ जाता है। ना तो वो क होता है और ना ही वो घ होता है। जैसे कर, कर, तो क भ के बीच का।
So you can have, for example, I wanted to put. So what is the meaning of? I'm going to put this in the chat box for you. So because I wanted the session to be a bit interactive. So what is the meaning of? Can you see the chat box? What is the meaning of this word I put?
Okay, ma'am.
Are the meanings same? I put two types of car.
Okay.
And I also have another. What is the difference? This is a very interesting. I'm hearing echo. I don't know from where. So can you see the difference here? Okay, since there is some disturbance, I'm just going to. I can't hear you. Hello. So I'm just because there was some disturbance. I'm sorry, I muted Kamal. But since there was disturbance, see the main point in when it comes to Punjabi is that we are having tone system, because you have a high falling or low rising or level tones, because that is very, very important when it comes to Punjabi sounds. When you say, when it is high and then falling, kar, that means you have, that is the house, right? And then the other car is the dance, and then kar, the same kar in Hindi, like kam kar, so do, or it can also mean have. Otherwise, you have kora, kora, kora. So you have so many tonal changes. So this is one important feature when it comes. But when you learner not know how to use the tone here, so then I will have, when I try to connect the sound of the tone with a new Punjabi word or an image, so that I can, when I see the house or whatever, I can see car, so how it is car. So I can try to establish the relationship between the sound of the new word and also the, with the help of an image, what I try to reconnect. So there are different strategies like this when you want to use memory strategies to help you learn a language. And also sometimes there are no pictures, but I can make a mental picture of a situation in which the word might be used. Then I also remember new Punjabi words or phrases by remembering their location on the page, on the board, or on a street sign. This happens to many of us when we are going out. Then coming to cognitive strategies. I say or write new Punjabi words sometimes. Most of us do this because repetition skills are taught in the classes also. I practice the sounds of Punjabi, especially the tones. It's very difficult if you are a non-tonal speaker. What is very natural for a Punjabi can be very difficult for others because they are not used to tonal languages. I use Punjabi words I know in different ways, then try to see whether that is correct or wrong. 10th strategy is the one I was telling you. It is a bit difficult because when you want to write anything, writing in Punjabi. Like, there are many strategies. Since I want some time for interaction also, I'm skipping this and I'm just moving to the many strategies like look for words in my own language that are similar to new words in Punjabi, but maybe the words may be similar in form, but they may be different in the meaning. Then compensation strategies. And I already told you, compensation strategies are strategies we use when we have limited strategies with us and limited us. We use guessing as one of the strategy. If you to understand unfamiliar Punjabi words, we just make a guess. Or you make up new words if I do not know the right ones in Punjabi. I read Punjabi without looking up every new word because I try to guess what will come next when I read. If I can't think of a Punjabi word, I use a word or phrase that means the same thing. Likewise, we have other strategies, metacognitive strategies, where to use Punjabi, what are the different ways I can use Punjabi. I also notice my metacognitive strategies are very important because this is one of the self-monitoring strategies. We have to notice our mistakes and use information for self-improvement. I pay attention when someone is speaking Punjabi. Why do I pay attention? So I can try to understand what he or she is speaking. I try to find out how to be a better learner of Punjabi. There are many such skills, and then we also have affective strategies and social. Because this affective strategies is very important. I try to relax. See, if you are afraid, then you cannot learn a language. So I try to relax whenever I feel afraid of using Punjabi. I encourage myself to read and write in Punjabi, even if I am afraid of making a mistake. That's very important. I notice if I'm tense or nervous when I'm studying or using Punjabi. Identify methods how to overcome your nervous situation. I talk to someone else about how I feel when I'm learning Punjabi. Social strategies. If I do not understand something in Punjabi, I ask the other person to slow down or say it again. Yes, that's important because so that someone was trying to tell me some examples. Since I don't know Punjabi at all, I just asked him to say it again, and I with other students. That's peer learning is very important. You learn better with your peers, and also ask help from Punjabi to face. Nowadays, you can also use social networks to do that. You can ask questions in Punjabi, try to learn about the culture of Punjabi. Quite a bit we can do. There are new trends, of course, because what I was telling you was all up to the mid 2000s, early 2000s, 2005, 2007, like that. But afterwards, people have started coming out with new techniques. The terms cognitive and metacognitive strategies remain common, but terms, for example, in my previous slide, what I showed you, affective strategy and social strategy, these are combined together and it is called as self-regulation now. So we have, in other words, we are talking about cognitive is one dimension of L2 learning, affective, and then socio-cultural. These are important strategies. Then a new term has come out in 2011, again by Oxford, Rebecca Oxford, strategic self-regulation model of language learning, S²R, strategic self-regulation. Here she talks about different things what she and other people have been working over several decades, like self-management, learner self-direction, everything is self, autonomous L2 learning or mediated learning. All these things together has been put forward into a new theory called strategic self-regulation. And also there are different frameworks which came out. For example, European framework of reference for languages. We do not have a common Indian framework, okay? We still do not have that, but Europe has come out with a model by the Council of Europe which promotes learning how to learn, because that is what we are talking when we talk about language learning strategies. This is learning how to learn it effectively. I would add extra word, effectively. And the use of LLS. How do we use the LLS for effective learning? The S² model in here, simple definition is, it's a deliberate, goal-directed attempts to manage and control the efforts to learn the L2. This is done by the learner himself. There are different strategies these strategies are teachable. If you are a teacher, you will be trying to use the different strategies which are teachable, so that the learners have various alternatives, because you can ask them like many teachable strategies. Constructing is very important. How to construct new words, how to construct new sentences, storing, retrieving, planning, self-evaluating. How can you do all these things? How to plan, how to store a new word or a sentence and retrieve it from your mental lexicon. How to develop the proficiency, self-efficacy, etc. In a classroom context, how do you do this LLS instruction? You have to study the teaching context. You have to focus on LLS in your teaching. Most of the times, we use strategies, but we are not specifically teaching them LLS when we are teaching them a new way. And also, teachers should take opportunities and time to reflect and encourage learners' reflection. You have to, when you're asking them to self-manage or autonomous learning, if they are maintaining diaries about their own errors, then you have to take time and ask them to read out their errors, discuss. I have a session of our reflections, learners' reflections, and that will help us to encourage them to learn the language better. And they integrate strategy instruction into textbooks and course materials, which we are not doing. Implicitly, it is there. Implicitly, we are teaching them different strategies, but explicitly, we do not have space in our textbooks and course materials. This is very important. And I wanted to, for example, new methods, how are people learning, the learners? For example, I tried on my own, because since most are Punjabi in the group, I thought it is important to give you some Punjabi examples. And how are the different strategies? I used Google Translate because even my Hindi is not even venture give something in Punjabi, but still I'm trying my best because I would like you to understand what are the different strategies. See, some will be similar, but when we take words like that have opposing relations, like tall, lamba, lambi, short, for a person like me, the gender problem will have issues with the gender problem. Because why when will I say lamba, lambi? Maybe for you it's easy because a Hindi speaker would have the same situation with the gender, but we don't have gender marked in our languages, so that kind of problem will be there. And also, the Google Translate gave me these kind of expressions, achakama, like for the good job, and then for good boy, it gave me a different word, saga mudha. So I do not know how you pronounce it, but
changa munda, ma'am, changa munda.
Changa munda. Thank you. So then Buddha, the Buddha is easy because it's also there in Hindi. And but when the word for right and correct, you see the Google Translate gave you only one word, sahi. There were no two different words. So like, or maybe in the context, like in Hindi, you would say theek hai, or sahi is different and theek is something, whatever. So do you have a similar expression in Punjabi? Maybe you have. It depends on the context. And wrong also, like galat, galat. So here, interestingly, all the Punjabi words are ending with vowels, what I noticed. So like this, a learner may have a strategy. These words here on my screen, I'm seeing that most of the words are written with the vowel ending. So I will slowly pick up my own self-learning strategy, and I will note down as a non-native speaker of Punjabi or a new learner of Punjabi. Maybe there are words here having vowels at the end. So that is one thing I have to make it. And then also, like, of course, I would not see, of course, you people know that Punjabi has two scripts, right? Shamukhi and Gurmukhi, right? You write using Perso-Arabic alphabet and Gurmukhi also, which is the modified Sikh script. So I tried to get something from some books here. And what is the word for big? How do you pronounce this?
देखो मैम वड्डा वड्डा
Vada. So Vada, see this Vada.
हाँ जी
Vada is with so Vada is there, and there is the same Vada is used also. Right? You don't have a different word for large.
हाँ जी
And for opposite for that is the chote. So that is the same like Hindi. So that is there. But there is Vada is there. There is definitely it is different from. It is different. I'm hearing some echo. Yes. So when we speak, we can unmute ourselves. Otherwise, I'm finding it difficult to speak here. Sorry about that. How do you see now? The question is when there is Vada, big, large, and the opposite is chote. So we have small. How do we learn collocations? Do we, for example, I cannot use big apple is fine, big table is fine. I cannot say big sister, right? Can I say like, or can I say Vada? What is the word for sister in Punjabi? So can I say big sister? So can I say like what are the different ways? I say important is
वड्डी भैन मैम वड्डी भैन वड्डी भैन
what did
for
Vadi
big
pen,
sister
okay.
वड्डी भैन
Big sister.
हाँ जी वड्डी
Okay. All right.
हाँ जी
Okay. So that is right. So we have to use different word associations to learn that. But then opposing relations are not straightforward. It is not always big, then I'll have opposite small. There are words like, for example, weather. When I simply say tanda and garam, everybody tanda coffee or tanda chai, garam chai. So we understand that even in other Indo-Aryan contexts. But when it comes to weather, we have different ways of expressing the relation. For example, opposite to tanda, if I ask you, you can give me more than one answer. Maybe you will be saying badlam, or you will say minhawala, rainy, or badafila, snowy, or dupadara, or havadara, or garam again. Garam can mean warm or hot. So we have a variety of opposing relations. Okay, so it is always straightforward. It is not just one word and you have another opposite relation. But then slowly we have to learn these multiple oppositions also. These are also oppositions or variations. How do you have different things to express? And also the next one is like we try to learn the opposite ones and then try to frame sentences on your own. This again I took from different books and sometimes from Google Translate. Mera desh hai, my country. Then I want to make a new sentence opposite of Vada, and I wanted to use chota. Then I try to mera ka chota jihad kar hai. So I have a small house. Then the question is, are there different other use big and large? I ask this question myself. Then I want to use different forms. Like just now, Kamal told me what a pen. So you have like for sister, or how you have for things. Suppose I want to talk about big, say roti or samosa or whatever. Then you will talk about different word combinations. And are there other usages? Or big ocean, can you talk about a large ocean? Not always, you cannot interchange this. In English, you cannot interchange. Likewise, maybe even in Punjabi, when to use and what to use. How that is important. So as a teacher, how would you teach the other usages? And as a learner, how would you learn other usages? These are very, very important. And also another important methods we use in our classrooms, and this is also very important. And this also can be a good start. This can be a very good cognitive strategy. Mera chitta hai, right? So that is my house is white. If my house is not white, what are the other colors? Then I can talk about Neela, Hara, Pila. So I can have different colors. So I would like to stop here and take some questions, but the background materials are available on these takes for whatever I've been giving. And most important word of the references. The most important message what I was trying to give is when we are trying to use the strategies, because we are to take, these are the three, these are the main strategies we wanted to take: memory strategies, cognitive strategies, then you have compensation strategies, but then I already told you metacognitive strategies. Affective and social strategies are now combined into self-regulation strategies. But basically these are the strategies which we would like as a teacher to teach different strategies. Like you can see, we have come out with some 42 strategies here for students to try, and come out with their own strategies. That is why you can keep adding this depending on the situation. And they have a choice whether how do they learn. For example, a social strategy, if you are introducing them 5 strategies, like you cannot dictate a student, like you use these 5 strategies, only then you will improve your Punjabi. It is up to them, like whether they choose the second strategy or the third strategy, or they come out with a new strategy based on their own experiences. So language learning strategies are very, very important, because these, like coming back to Oxford's definition, these are the ones which will help a learner to acquire a language very effectively, and also allows the learner to store and retrieve the necessary information in their mental lexicon, and how to use the information learned. That is why these are operations or techniques. These are very important, and they help you as a learner to make the learning easier. Learning can be faster and fun, more enjoyable if strategies are used. And because you're using the strategies on your own, it is self-directed. Because it is self-directed, it is interesting for you to learn a new language, and that's how learning becomes very effective, and it can be transferable to new situations. Thank you so much for your attention. We can have some interactions. I'm sorry about the technical glitches in the beginning.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for a wonderful for your wonderful talk. I'm sorry I missed it in the beginning. I was just called by the director, so I had to go there. But I have been all years. I mean, you so wonderfully talked about different strategies versus styles versus the models of language learning strategies, and the different kind of compensation, cognitive and metacognitive strategies, then affective and social strategies, and how the teachers can make use of these strategies while teaching a second, third language, or even a native tongue of the speaker. Thank you so much for your time, for taking out precious time from your busy schedule. And now I would like to invite the questions from the participants.
Just a request, if suppose someone wants to ask in Punjabi, they can do it and someone else can interpret it to me, so that there is no dearth of communication here.
Yeah, there's no dearth of communication. Dr. Tibba, can you hear me, please? Dr. Pawan Tibba?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Dr. Pawan Tibba, can you please announce to the audience that if there's anybody who would like to ask a question, you like in the Punjabi tongue, then you can translate it to me or the ma'am in English.
Okay.
Can you please announce that you would be able, you can translate like the questions asked in the Punjabi into English? I can also do that.
ਜੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਸਵਾਲ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਪੁੱਛ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ.
Ma'am, before like this audience can think of any ask any question, I have one general questions. Usually the teachers in the classroom, they usually follow the textbooks, usually at the school level, not at the college level, where they develop their own materials. So like if you have to choose or probably adopt few of these strategies which you have talked about in the process of material development, can they just align it along with their textbooks which are already prescribed? Like can they do it while developing the exercises, etc., for the students, oral or written, right? oral or written, because usually they have to follow a certain curriculum. They prescribed curriculum, and where they don't have the opportunity to, you know, to have so much to experiment. At least they can't try all the strategies actually. So like say for example, if somebody is teaching at class 6 level or 7th level, so what according to you would be the best strategies to follow? Hello?
Sorry, I have not even unmuted. Sorry. I'm just reminded strategies are not strategies are to be chosen. They cannot be dictated by others. A teacher cannot dictate, use this particular strategy. But what we can do is like how the Council of Europe, like what I'm putting on my slide right now, what is visible, like the common European framework of reference for languages put forward by the Council of Europe, has come out with different methods of learning how to learn and how to use it. What I'm suggesting here is, after every lesson there are drills, there are question items, because I see your timetable also, people will be doing all that. But now no place for self-reflection there. Okay? Because in our methods right now, we are only asking them, we will give up the fill up the blanks or question items, short questions or whatever, and they have to do comprehension passages, or they are doing different things, but what they have been told to do. Like in other words, this is just the efficiency in your language. But to enhance the efficiency in the language, we need to do something more than this. Because proficiency is gain, and learning a proficiency in a language, we are giving more attention. But for example, the self-regulatory practices, for that, what I'm suggesting is, even in our curriculum, we have to make some space. That's what I was telling, that there should be some space. I think somewhere I put it here also. Yeah, because we are interested, we have to integrate the strategy instruction into our textbooks, because we want them to come out with their methods, like how they want to reflect upon, how did you learn this particular item? Like they have, instead, like you give choices, you give strategies as the choices, for example. How did you, for example, for me as a non speaker, very difficult with the gender, or how do I know like which gender to choose for what subject or object or particular noun? Or different strategies. How did I learn that? So that kind of things could also be into the component of textbooks, especially L2 textbooks. How did I learn this? How did I learn the tone system? How do I know like when to use a high falling? What are the rules? Is it always before a velar? I'm not going to do linguistics here, because I looked into the books and I there are strict phonological rules when it comes to the tone marking in Punjabi. But then how do you teach without using the linguistic jargon? Wise, don't want to go into all those linguistic environment. But suppose it's a simple, you said 6th standard class or 7th standard has to learn with the linguistic jargon. So you are giving high falling, something is high and then it falls, car, then car, like whatever. So from low to rising, or just kar. Kar is the mid tone where we do whatever. Right. So how do we do this? How did I learn as a learner? You give me a question. I want to choose from that strategy. Okay, mine was observing and practicing. I used a different strategy without telling it's a memory strategy, cognitive strategy, social strategy. Without the jargon, you're giving some where they will. Then you can experiment different one. People can take, the teacher can look into the answers and can see how her teaching or his teaching had an impact on students. What impact it had, what kind of, you are teaching them the availability of LLS, and but you're not telling them what LLS to use in a particular situation. You are presenting them a big basket of fruits, and you're allowing them to choose what they like someone likes apple, or someone likes oranges. Yeah. Exactly. Correct. So these are the things which should go into our course materials, which is slowly coming up in other countries. we are not, when we are doing it, this LLS is being done only with the context of English in India. English as a second language or English as a foreign language. But my proposal is language learning strategy instruction. I'm talking also about instruction. This instruction should be given even at an early age for a learner. It can be a second language learner or a third language learner. So there should be some lessons for this and how to reply. It can be at the end of the curriculum, because once they acquired some knowledge in a particular skill, maybe it's listening skill, at the end then you want to find out what strategies they used. That helps. You might ask, why should I have space for that in my textbook? That is mainly because it helps the teacher to use better strategies also in the classroom to make learning more effective and fun. That is the whole idea.
Correct, ma'am. Correct, ma'am. You very rightly pointed out. In fact, I think the participants would not know it, but last time, when we shared the slides with their headquarters, so the commissioner was very enthusiastic about this incorporating LLS into the curriculum of the teachers, language teachers. And I think we'll take this proposal forward and we'll include some component of it into their syllabus and the textbooks, and that would be very good. Yeah. So this
thank
Dr.
you.
Pawan?
Yes, sir.
Did you? Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you. First of all, I should thank you for the answer.
Thank you,
Dr. Pawan.
I hope it was. I hope my answer was comprehensible and it was up to what you had asked.
It was very easy and it was very comprehensive as well. Actually, I had one more question, but in your first answer you covered everything. So I did not ask here. Yeah, so you covered the question without asking. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So any questions from participants?
Yes, sir.
Any questions? Participants?
Sir, no question.
No questions?
Any participant?
Yeah. So
no problem. It's a new
slides, etc.
Yeah, no problem. It's a new topic. I understand, and maybe they have problems with language or but of course you can ask even in Hindi and Pankaj can translate it. But still, I think because time is up, because as a learner I understand many of them are waiting for the next talk as well. But the basic idea is it's a new technique what the NTS wants to educate you on, mainly to see how you can employ language learning strategies in teaching a second or third. If there are any questions or anything, you can always write to me. I will send my slides to the coordinator, Dr. Divedi, and he will share it with all of you, because I put the slides are the same what I gave for Malayalam or Kannada. Only thing is each time I have their own language examples. So this time it's Punjabi examples. So I will share it with you. Yeah, I will share it with you, and you can give it to them. And if there are any questions, feel free to approach us over email. Even in my slides, you will find my email. My first slide has my email. I will also put my personal email here and send it to you, Gmail. All right, so thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to introduce a new topic to 68 people who are assembled here. Thank you so much.